2, 1. All right. What's up? What's up, everybody? This is Wicked. Shut up. All right. Okay. First of all, this gentleman that we have here, I don't know what it was. There's something in the air. There's some vibration going on in the universe. But I heard of Texas De La Rosa. I've heard his name a couple of times, and whenever I'd be online, just scrolling, I would see Texas. I would see your name again and again and again, and I would see. Then I see posters of you as a judge, and you're the only gentleman in a line of these, established women as a judge. And I was like, who is this guy? Why does he keep popping up in my mind? And I go, I need to get him out of my mind and onto the show. So Texas, first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for spending your time, your energy, and just being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am flattered and humbled to be on your show and talk to you about whatever we want to talk about today. So,
and you know what? We don't know where the conversation goes. We start from here. We start from hither, and we can end up thither. It doesn't. There are no rules and regulations. But one of the focuses that we have are our success in the beauty industry. COVID, of course, has been a huge challenge. Just turning this industry upside down, but it hasn't done that for everybody. A lot of people have learned to pivot. A lot of people have learned to use their creativity to be able to do things differently. So before we get into that, because I really want to pick your brain and of course, learn of all of your experience, your successes, your failures. Like one thing Texas told me that I appreciate is Texas keeps it freaking real. Is that, can I quote you on that, Texas?
absolutely.
Right? Because in this industry, when all you see are the ups, and the ups, and you're like, oh my God, these people are perfect. They don't fall, they don't falter, they don't flip, they just go up and up. And that's rarely the case. But before we get into all that juicy, Texas informaciones, right? Texas, break us down a little bit. I want to know about you. How did you get into this industry? Is this something you've always wanted to do? How did you start?
Okay, well, honestly, I don't have a very normal story. I kind of started off, basically, I didn't know what I wanted to do in my early teens. I always had a kind of a passion for drawing, art, and makeup and doing things like that. And just, it kind of trickled into being an actual job. My first real thing that I did was for a battered women's shelter here in Austin, Texas. So I was doing makeovers with a friend of mine. And I learned at that age, I think I was like 19, maybe 19 or 20, somewhere in there. And when I learned that I could make someone perceive themselves look, differently through makeup, and it was still kind of an art thing, that kind of progressed and moved into, maybe I should take this as a serious job. I started bartending and learning to do makeup and understudied under some people. And then it just kind of became a career. And about 2005, I was 25. I started working in film and television, doing, I think my first main gig was I was doing videos with a company for singers, artists. And it just kind of started into makeup. And so makeup has always been my career. That also then led me into wanting to do permanent makeup as well, because I knew that makeup was always going to be something that I was going to love to do, but it washes off. And at that time, I'd already had clients that I'd worked with regularly, and they wanted, brows or lips or, eyeliner or whatever. And, I thought, well, this is what I have to learn to do. I have to learn to do this as well. So then PMU started. Of course, I took a break from PMU after that because I was younger back then. Didn't really know if that was what I wanted to do. Also, the machines, the colors, the pigments, everything were just so different back then. And so it just wasn't really my bag, honestly. I just didn't really feel confident doing it. And I didn't love what I was doing because I didn't really have the best educator. And I talk about education all the time, and how education is so important. And if you have a bad class, it's kind of like, I just told this to a person the other day. I was like, if you have a bad class, it's kind of like someone saying, you ate a bad cake. Are you going to say, no, I'll never eat cake again because that one person made a bad cake? No, we all love cake, right? I love cake. And so you got to think of it that way. You got to think, well, man, and so I didn't do that at first. I kind of thought, maybe this isn't for me. And then I thought, no, I'm going to go back in and try some more classes and do some things. And then I did find an educator that really was kind of on my level. And then so that's kind of how PMU started. Then I started educating back about 6 years ago, I think 7 years. Gosh, yeah, maybe it's COVID seems to have flipped my brain. I don't even know like how long I've been doing it. Like, does anyone else feel like that? Like where you just feel like, is it still 2019? I don't even know anymore.
I
So,
don't even know what day of the week it is.
yeah,
I
I have no idea.
Monday or it's not Friday. I know it's not.
No, I know, but it's just like, man, it's like a blip in my brain. But yeah, so I started educating because I wanted to teach people how I was taught, or how I appreciate being taught. I'm sorry. As teaching is so important for people that are growing in the industry, whether it be for makeup. I'm a makeup educator. I've taught laser. I also got into the aesthetic world and doing things with, with doctors and working under a plastic surgeon and doing crazy stuff, like microneedling, collagen therapy. I've trained in cool sculpting. I've done, let's see, it's just everything you can think of. It's just anything with skin. I wanted to learn how to do it. And so, and then also, learning more stuff with PMU. But yeah, but that's kind of how I got into the world. I wanted to help people. My biggest thing is I love helping people. I love helping people feel good about themselves. I think the beauty industry is one of those industries that you can be excited to go to work to because you're changing people's lives. And I know that a lot of people think, well, you don't need makeup, you don't need these things. No, we don't. You don't need any of that. But if it makes a person feel better and it makes a person feel confident to walk out the door and have a great day, then why not? And so that's kind of where I fall in the beauty industry, and that's why I've loved doing it. And it is artistic for me, having an artistic background, doing pastels, painting, acrylics, charcoals. I get to play with people's faces and do beautiful things on them, and it's a new palette every day. Everyone's got a different end outcome they want, and so it's very interesting. You still got to use your color theory and all the fun stuff you learn in art. So yeah, so that's kind of how I've got into the business and how I've stayed in it.
So how rewarding is it? Because I've seen some of your work, and you do amazing work. Meaning,
Thank you.
I am a fan of yours, Texas. So like when you do these works, when you're working on these brows and you're seeing these transformations, are there any stories that stick out with you of these transformations that you've done that maybe helped or changed somebody?
Absolutely. I've done clients that, like for instance, I've done scalp pigmentation on clients that have literally just said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that I don't have this thinning hair anymore," and that I look in the mirror and I feel more confident. I've had people cry when they get their lips done or their brows. I've had a couple of ladies actually that have had scarring in their lips due to either surgeries or due to just natural causes having scarring and whatever, and just changing that whole aspect that they think that I can't fix this, that this is unfixable, and I can fix it. I can change the way that they look at themselves every morning. That's such a big deal, and it's so gratifying to see people that actually feel whole again. Whether it be from whatever it is that I'm doing. I've had alopecia clients that have had zero hair on their face. Males and females actually, and that's a big deal because they say they feel like everyone's looking at them and that they just don't, they don't fit in or something, and that's a horrible feeling for a person to feel, is that that they're walking out their door and maybe even people aren't looking at them like that, but in their mind that's how they see themselves. And so when you see yourself in a light like that, it can be very detrimental to your mental and your mental health and your psyche. And if you can change that and make someone feel good about themselves and when they wake up feel normal, quote unquote,
Mhm.
that's amazing. That's amazing. And that's why I do what I do.
You know what? And a couple of key points there that really hit me hard with what you said. When people feel, because that's what it is. It's a feeling, right? Like I
Mhm.
can feel happy. I can watch a scary movie. I can instantly feel scared. The movie changes another 15 minutes. I'm crying. So our feelings are malleable. But when people feel that they can't get something done, like for example, you talked about the lips, and she felt, because somebody probably told her, there's so many other, whether they're professionals or this or that, saying, this is your scar, this is what you're stuck with, you cannot do anything about it, right? And to me, that is like one of the worst things, because like for example, if they're coming from a doctor, and just because a doctor can't do anything about it doesn't mean other people cannot, right? So to me, I think a lot of people are given this misinformation of what is or what's not possible based on the person that's giving it to them, right? And to me, that's powerful. Like, if
Yeah.
I say I can't do it, or I feel I can't do it, then there's that old saying: if you think you can or you think you can't, you're still right.
Right.
right? So how important is the mindset when it comes to beauty? Because to me, because I'm not a beautician, right? I'm not an esthetician. I'm not a makeup artist. You know, I'm kind of on the business side of it. But
Mhm.
looking from the outside in, and I'm looking into your world through this glass, and I see the work that you do that's beautiful. But to me, that's like the tip of the iceberg. It's making that person feel that way, making them feel beautiful, making them feel confident, making them feel whole, like you said, right?
100%. I think that what we give people is hope, because again, a lot of people go, maybe they have something done, maybe they have a procedure done. Something that I'm not looking into doing this year, actually, I'll be taking a class really soon, is doing areola reconstruction for breast cancer survivors for mastectomies. That's something that hits hard to my heart because I've had a lot of family that have dealt with cancer in my life, and so it's a big deal. And so I think that what we do is we give hope to people because maybe the doctor doesn't even know. I mean, I think every doctor should know about these treatments, but a lot of them don't, and there's a thing, it's because that's not what they do. They're hyper focused on what they do, but they don't know what are the other options out there for someone to get some sort of cosmetic tattooing done to help with, again, brows, lips, eyes, whatever it is, whatever. And so I think that, it is important for people to understand. And I love to share all my information with people because, again, there's someone out there that's probably, wearing the baggy sweatshirt and wearing the hat down and trying to like cover their face and not be seen by people. And it's probably because, again, something happened bad to them and they don't know how to fix it. And if I can do something to help that person feel better, then that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you grow and be better. And it's fascinating to see someone's face light up and see them feel better from something as simple as, doing a cosmetic procedure that, like lip blushing or, eyeliner or brows, things like that. It's so fascinating to me and it makes me really happy. So
So here, let's dive into that emotional aspect because to me, this is such an emotional industry, right? Like whether you look at it, social media has just made it so much more in terms of people looking at what you look like, people
mhm.
having a feeling they have to use these filters, etc. Right? So you talked about this person, wearing a hat to cover up, wearing that baggy sweatshirt, right? To do that. When that person is at home and based on your experience with your clients, right? Let's call this person Stacy, right?
Okay.
So let's just say that's Stacy. Stacy wears that baggy sweatshirt. She covers her head in that hat. When Stacy goes home and she takes that hat off and gets comfortable in her clothes and she looks in the mirror, how would Stacy feel? What are the words going on in Stacy's mind that you think?
I think a lot of people feel hopeless. Again, like going back to the hopeless, they feel hopeless. They feel maybe that they're ugly, maybe that they are not a quote unquote like a normal person. I think a lot of people feel hurt. They may feel anger because of what's happened. Maybe again, maybe they were young and didn't, and they were maybe this, everything was normal, and all of a sudden, boom, alopecia happened. Because that's how it happens sometimes. Sometimes just life
And
just
what is alopecia? Break it down for me.
alopecia is where you start losing hair in areas, and it can be all over the body. It can be just triggered into like certain like facial areas. It can be brows. It can be your full hair, your your lashes, everything. And there's not a lot that can be done about it, and so when something like this happens, or say someone's in an accident. I just worked with a lady who was in an accident, was in a biking accident, and I believe it's a motorcycle accident, and she has scarring all over her face, and she's had multiple laser treatments, and now she's trying to get her brows back and her, get back on track and get her lips done. We just did her lips, and now she's going back in for her eyes because she's feeling so pretty. And the cool thing about that is that all this bad things happen to her, but yet she's on this road to recovery, and I'm just one step in
Mhm.
that road of recovery. And so I think that's what people go through when they're feeling down on themselves, and it's really easy to fall down that rabbit hole and start getting worse and worse, and especially with things like COVID, where now you're depressed because you maybe haven't been working, you can't see your family, you can't do all these things that you normally do. You're not wearing makeup anymore because you're not going out. So it's like I have a lot of friends that are just like, it's what's the point of putting makeup on? I'm just going to sit at home in my pajamas or work from home. And and it's all those feelings are so, they're very big feelings to have, I think, for a person, and they can be very overwhelming, and it can make a person feel like they're just slowly going down and down and down in the self-esteem aspect of things. And I think that little things like this, when you can start looking back in the mirror and say, oh, I don't look so bad, quote unquote, or I don't feel so bad, I actually look pretty. I feel like a gentleman. I just had a guy reach out to me about some stuff in his brows, and he told me that he, after I did his brows, he was just so amazed that he felt so much more confident.
Yeah.
And it's just those little things that, it starts bringing back the light, when there's a lot of dark, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely, and that's what it's about. Because and to me, that's why, and like I said, when you're a hammer, everything looks like nails, right? Because
Mhm.
that's what a hammer does. So me as a marketer, I look at marketing as in terms of educating the public of the options that are out there. Marketing isn't about saying, "Hey, do this. Hey, do that." It's not being salesy kind of say. But the thing is, where a lot of people are struggling. For example, there are people out there that do not know about the browse and the services you provide.
Mhm.
And if they were to know about that, or if they knew about that, they could say, oh my god, that maybe that's something that can help me, because that person's looking in the mirror all the time. That person is struggling with alopecia or other kind of baldness issues and all that. So same thing in terms of the esthetician world, is there are people struggling so much with skin, right?
Mhm.
They're struggling with acne. They're looking in the mirror and looking at those fine lines and wrinkles and hyperpigmentation. And when the esthetician isn't educating or putting themselves out there saying, hey, there are options. Hey, this can be fixed. When they're not doing that, then the people that win are going to be like the proactives, like the you know
Right.
St. Ivy's apricot scrub that's just killing it in the market still to this day. To this day,
I don't even know where to find that stuff. I'm like, where do you find this stuff? It's like when I hear people using it, I'm like, oh my God, why are they using that? It's just
it's
crazy.
and I blame it on the estheticians. I don't blame it on the manufacturer. I go, hey,
No.
y'all need to get your word out there. You need to educate the public, because like here, I'm a perfect example. I'm an idiot because I've used that in the past because I didn't know better. The thing is, I just didn't know better. I
Right.
wasn't educated. I went out there looking for exfoliates for my skin, and because those companies have those billion-dollar budgets for marketing, they're always going to pop up on top on that SEO list of ways to exfoliate, of
Right.
getting so they promise you the world, but they provide you chemicals, and I think they do more bad than good, right?
That's how it is. I think, again, it goes back to education. I think education comes from not only with your clients, but also with yourself, and knowing how to educate people. Um, Me being an educator for so many years, I feel like every single client that I work with, I try to treat them like they are a student in my room, because I want them to understand why I'm doing something. Why am I doing this treatment? Why am I recommending this treatment? I'm not just going to say, oh, you need microneedling. Well, what the hell is microneedling? Oh, that, they're looking at, what is that? And then I'm like, oh, it's fine lines and wrinkles. You're fine. Well, maybe they don't have fine lines and wrinkles. Maybe they're trying to work on acne scarring, or maybe they're trying to work on, something else, and laxity in skin. Uh, I think it's all about educating your client just as much as educating other people. And then you brought it home, when if you don't put that out there, then people don't know, and social media is one of the biggest free ways of giving education to people, and it meaning that everyone can look at it. You can start an Instagram, you can start a Facebook, you can do a whatever, TikTok, all the things, and start educating people on why you do things and why it's going to work and how it works. Because I think when you break things down, then you actually understand what it is, that why I'm doing what I'm doing. I always talk to my clients like that. I've always told people, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a good salesperson, but if anyone's in my room, they're going to do something,
Yeah.
and they're going to leave with doing something, because we're going to talk about the issue. And maybe what they came in for was something that we don't even go towards. I've had many clients come in to my facility and talk to me about maybe this, and this. And then we end up going a whole different avenue, because we find out, I'm like, no, maybe this isn't for you. And they think, oh, well, that's what I need because I Googled it. But me as the educator, I'm like, no, I got to tell you why this is probably not the best for you. Let's go this route instead. Let's do some laser peels. Let's do some chemical peels. Let's then do an IPL later on down. I have like in my brain, I have all these like steps that and I always try to take my clients with me on those steps, because it's important. Because if they don't know what they're paying their money for, they're not going to pay you for it. They're not going to give you $1,000 because you told them they need microneedling. They're going to give you $1,000 because you're going to tell them it's going to work with fine lines, wrinkles. It's going to work on your pigmentation in some areas. It's going to work on your pores, pore minimization. It's going to work on that scar tissue you have, whatever it is. So again, it's all about education.
So here, help me. Let me sigh. I wish I had like alcohol, because I would be taking shots, copious shots of them right now. One of my biggest pet peeves in terms of the esthetician community are them using fancy ass words all the time without describing what the F they mean. Like, I cannot tell you how many posts I'll see where like, hey, today we have a special on micro needling and chemical peels and microcurrent. And if you come in, you can get it all for $10 off. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, see, you are an educator, and as an educator, like someone like myself, if you tell me, hey Wick, we do micro needlings and chemical peels, I'm like, oh crap, Texas, that sounds painful. In my mind, I see you poking my face with needles and putting an oil spill on my face with chemicals. Right? None of that shit sounds good. None of that. So how can estheticians, and I, the word is keep it simple, stupid, dumb it down, whatever it is. I always tell people, I go, the simpler you keep it, because people are not coming there for a micro needling. They're coming there to have cleaner, smoother skin. They're coming there so the makeup applies easier. They look better. They'll age less. It's what is it? Benefits and features and benefits, right? So people talk about all the products and services, but there is such a small, minute portion that actually talk about the benefits. And that's why when you talk about you talk to your clients like students, and everything is like, and why this is important is, well, please educate us now.
Well, I think, like I said, it's just breaking it down, because again, when you look at an ad on Facebook or social media, whatever, and it's a million pages long, I'm not going to read it. I'm not, because guess what I'm going to grab my little phone and I'm just going to start zooming through and seeing what else, because I got bored already. We are in an age where everyone is instant gratification. They want instant everything. They want to know what it is up front. So I always tell people, like, a lot of people don't put their prices on stuff. I'm always telling people the prices of stuff we do on the front, because people will go where they find the price and figure it out. You got to give people what they want to hear and what they need to hear first, before you go into all of the microcurrent, blah, 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 all the weird words, all the crazy words that a person that is not in our field doesn't understand. My mom has no idea what microcurrent is. If you told her what microcurrent was, she'd be like, I don't need that. I don't want that.
Is that part of the river that goes really fast?
Yeah, it sounds scary.
It's a micro river, like micro current, right?
Yeah. So it's like, you have to tell people what it is that you're doing and always explaining it, but explain it like you would explain it to, and I always tell people this, explain it like you would explain it to a child.
Yeah.
And you got to think of it that way. No, we're not talking to children. We're talking to adults. Yes. I'm not saying belittle someone, but what I'm saying is keep it simple. Keep it simple. Because if you're going to try to educate someone, they don't care about the crazy words. It's like when I talk about SPF, I say, do you want a physical or do you want a chemical SPF? Do you know the difference? And they're like, no. Let's explain it. Chemical has smaller molecules. It allows more absorption of the UV rays into your skin. So that's why if you're using it, you're still getting a little bit of a tan, right? Oh, okay, I get that. So a lot of your over-the-counters, your OTC products. Now, if you get a physical sunscreen, it's going to have mainly components like zinc or titanium dioxide, which are actually going to put a barrier. It's a larger molecule. It's going to put a barrier on the skin. Therefore, the skin isn't penetrated by those UV rays. Which one sounds better? The one that absorbs into your skin or the one that's going to sit and do its job?
Boom.
That's how you educate someone. It's that simple. You keep
Texas, the confused mind always says no. So I don't understand what the heck someone is trying to sell me, explain to me, present to me, educate me on them. And in marketing terms, we call it the curse of knowledge.
Yeah.
So how it is, before, and how I best explain it, and I follow a gentleman named Russell Brunson. He explains this very well. He goes, long time ago, like let's just say me as a younger Wick, uh, you know, I, I had acne. I had all these problems and I tried to figure it out myself. And I'm like, I tried this, I tried that. Everything was wrong. I went to a dermatologist. He tried to put me on some medicine. He goes, take this medicine. You can't have babies for like 2 years and you might die. Right. So, so,
Yeah.
I went on this journey, then I got tired of that. Then finally, someone like myself would go to esthetician school, and now they learned all these things, this fancy talk and all this, dermaplaning and microdermabrasion and all this stuff. And so what the mistake that they make is they try to teach people all this stuff that they learn now. And I go, no, 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 because that's all logical things. What you want to do is take them on that journey of, hey, are you struggling with acne? Because I was, and it's horrible. I looked in the mirror, I felt bad. I didn't want to go out. I would put pounds of makeup on, and because of that, and no one was able to help, I became an esthetician, right? So it's getting somebody emotionally involved, because people that are not happy with their skin, and correct me if I'm wrong, people can have like almost perfect, beautiful skin. They're still going to be like, I don't like my skin.
It
Right.
happens. Yeah. We are our worst enemy when it comes to things. I mean, I see lots of people that come in, and a lot of times I almost think that some of them have body dysmorphia, because I just did a client not too long ago. Excuse me. She came in for one treatment, and I was like, would you like, she came in, I can't remember if it was microneedling or IPL, one of the two, back and forth. No, it was actually she came in for IPL, and then now we switched to microneedling. But she came in for IPL for pigmented lesions, and I literally looked at her skin and I was like, I don't see any. I don't see any. And I'm like, with my big ring light up in your face, I can see your soul, but I can't see any darkness in there. I was like, what are you in for, sweetie? And then I kind of we break it down. I also tell people, I like to get in my client's head. I like to find out what is going on. I'll give them a mirror sometimes and not even talk. I'll say, tell me what you see. Let's talk about it. And I will sit and listen. I think one of the biggest things and pet peeves I have when people are doing any treatment, whether you're an esthetician, a makeup artist, a PMU artist, whatever, is that they don't listen. People don't listen to what the client wants. What are their wants and needs? What are they in there for? When you pop off and you start saying all these things, and you like hit that checklist of, oh, you need IPL, you need this, you need that, you need this microneedle, blah, blah, and you start going down, that's so overwhelming to that person, and it scares them off, and especially if you're using big words, now you've made them feel stupid because you didn't tell them, oh, well, this gets rid of brown and red spots. Oh, okay, that's what IPL does. I always tell people, again, keep it simple, ask them what they want, listen. Don't regurgitate what you hear on the internet because you remembered that. I think a lot of people have that parrot syndrome where they remember what that educator told them 12 years ago, and that's what they've said for the last 12 years. You have to learn and understand that every single client that sits down in your chair for whatever treatment it is, they need your help, and you need to listen to them and then work out a plan.
And that is 100% like this industry, and Texas. I was shocked. Like the reason I'm even involved in this industry is when I first even found out what an esthetician was. I was like, oh, cool, because I'm a mentor for a lot of small businesses and a lot of different categories. But none of those other categories like hit me. Like I used to do solar, or I used to work with roofers or pest control and things of that sort. But I just wasn't passionate about that industry. And however, I fell into the beauty industry, and I found out estheticians are only making 34,000 a year. That's the average what an esthetician makes, right? That blew my mind. I was
That's
like, that's impossible. I go,
it's
no way.
quite insane, actually. I'm trying
It,
to, that's
it's crazy. Right.
that's
And now, like, as my group, the marketing ideas for every estheticians and beauty boss, I'm looking at that. I'm working and speaking to a lot of these estheticians. There's a bunch of them that are not even making that. They are literally
yeah.
making 1,000 a month, maybe two on a good day. And when I look at that, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And I see their content, it's exactly what you said. They're using these big words, this fancy terminology, as if, you know, other estheticians will cheer them on, like, yeah, girl, that's a good ad right there. You're talking about micro needling and this and that. But the thing is, the average person, the average me, will not understand that, and it doesn't affect me enough where I feel the pain, my own pain within that ad. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think it does 100%. I think also one of the bigger things on running ads is that you have to use personal photos of people. None of this stock stuff that you see. I see so many beautiful stock photos out there, but you see that one and then you scroll through and then you see that same picture on someone else's totally different business and you're like, really? That they treated the same person and that person's in Kentucky and this person's in LA?
That
Really?
person getting a lot of treatment.
I know she's all over the place. She must look fabulous. No, I think that, you know, I think that you've got to use, and this is another thing that really irritates me is that when everyone uses like the beautiful 20-year-old, there, yes, the beautiful 20-year-old that has one pimple maybe once a year, and they have her for all their ads. You've got to use real people, because if you're not using real people, then people don't see themselves
we
in
we don't
that ad.
connect. I don't
Yeah.
connect with that 20-year-old, right? I
I'm
know,
not, I'm not a 20-year-old girl. I'm a
right?
40-year-old man. And guess what? We have totally different situations on our skin and what I need done. And yes, I still get things done and I need things done. I need to get my under eyes filled because I have dark circles now that I'm 40. I need to have IPL because now I have pigmented lesions popping up. I have a little spot I'm going to get rid of in a couple of weeks. I mean, little things like this, but you know what? I don't know who that person is. If I'm an African-American female and all I see are Caucasian women on your ads, do you work on African American females? Probably, but you're not using the right ads. I think people need to really think about what the people are looking for and your demographic. And it's something that really irritates me is when I see that a lot. And you know, they don't think about, why do you buy something? Why
Yeah.
are you buying that car? Why are you buying that whatever it is? It's because it appealed to you. But if you're not appealing to everybody in your ads, which means yes, maybe running a few ads, not just one, that's how you gain momentum and you gain clients trust and you gain clients and you build those relationships.
So here, like beauty is such, it's one of those things, like sometimes it almost have like has like a bad name to it, because some people equate beauty to perfection,
Right.
right? And so a lot of the times when like I am 100% with you, and this is one of the advice I give to every single anybody in the beauty industry. I go, if I see more stock images on your feed than pictures of you or your clients or actually real
Absolutely.
people, I can already tell how well your business is doing.
Right.
And a lot of times it's not doing well, because that's not what attracts people, right? So but is that something that's out there that people are like, okay, well, somebody, you know, we need to only put beautiful people on our role. We only need to have these perfect people, these stock images on that. Could that be a perception out there, or what's going on?
I think that's 100% the perception. I think that that's what a lot of people do, and that's why I don't do it. I don't filter my photos when I put them on there. A lot of times, I had someone comment on one of my brows that I did the other day. She's like, "Oh my god, thank God, a real picture or a real video." And I'm like, "Yes, we did a tattoo on someone's brows. There's going to be redness. There's going to be some swelling. There's going to be some colored, you know, discoloration in the areas because of what we're using in the numbing." I don't like to filter things and use those stock photos because yes, it may look beautiful and it may make your whole feed look fantastic. But again, it's not real. It's not realistic to the client that's going to be coming in. And it's not giving them the actual real, because think about this way. If you have a client that's coming in for a facial and all you have are these 20-year-olds and she's 35, let's say she's 35 and she doesn't look like a 120-pound girl, you know, that's got flawless, you know, bronze skin and blah, 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 because that's what you've been using on your ads. That's going to make her feel very intimidated to come
Yeah.
into your spot. It's going to be very intimidating for her to tell you what she's going through. Maybe it's acne. Maybe it's, you know, redness in the under the eye, under the face or the nose, or what if it's pigmented lesions? What it's, you know, if you do all those things and you're using all those stock ads, again, you're just you're cutting your business in half. You're not giving, or maybe even to a fourth, because you're not giving all out, you know, everything out there. Again, I work on older ladies. Again, the most of my clients that are in my area are between 30 and 70. So I'm going to tell you, do I have a lot of 20-year-old ad? If you look at if you scroll through all of my work, you know, all my stuff, you're not going to find that many young people because that's not what I work on. And I use those real photos because I think it's so much more important for people to see the real person. Because again, they see themselves in that mom. I'm a mom. I have that. Oh, I'm a grandma. I have skin like her. Oh my gosh, I can fix that. I'm 65. I didn't even know I could still get this stuff done. A lot of people kind of think when they get older that they just don't need to care about their skin anymore, which is so wrong, you know, because again, you're still a person, you still have purpose. You know, it's not just because you don't have to be a grandma and just be haggard. You know, if you look tired and you look like you need things done and you want to get things done, do it. I always tell people we live in an age now where we have a lot of procedures we can do that aren't going under the knife. They're not going to a doctor, a plastic surgeon. We can do a lot of things in-house and have you out the door in less than an hour, feeling and looking better than you had 10 years ago, you know? But again, if you're not using those pictures, you're going to lose those clients.
And it's such a shame, man, right? And you know what, Texas? So the other portion, one of my big struggles that I am always telling people, because social media is a struggle for a lot of people in the beauty business, right?
Mhm.
Putting that information out there, putting themselves out there. So one of the hardest struggles that I'm having is I'm trying to convince, you know, my group is mostly estheticians, but I'm trying to convince them, go, hey, you need to put yourself out there. You need to be the face of your business. So here, like, let's talk about you. You are obviously not a very, you're not a very shy gentleman, right?
No,
You're
not at all.
cool, you're bold, right? You're fun, you're outgoing. You just let it rip. Were you always this way?
Yes and no. I was always coming from a very young age. I was always I loved being around people, and I've always been very. I wasn't shy when I was younger, and then I went through a shy period, like between like middle school and then like my freshman year, and then after that, I kind of just you know kind of just said, you know, I don't want to be this person anymore. I am who I am, and I'm very vocal and kind of a wild kid. And you know, I dyed the hair green as a freshman in high school, and you know, was the outcast and was the person that, you know, was, you know, everyone was like, oh my gosh, they're all wearing, I came from a very small town in Texas. So they're all wearing Wranglers and I'm wearing like Doc Martens and crazy big baggy pants and whatever. And, you know, and I always kind of wanted to be different than everyone else. And so as I got older, I have been very blessed and lucky in my career to have worked with a lot of people. And I've learned a lot of, I learned about a lot about myself, I think, and how I could make people know who I am versus like, again, using like something just like stock photos or whatever. Because I think that what sells me with a lot of people is because I have that no bullshit, you know, you can believe it if you need to, but
Nah, let it rip.
I have that no bullshit attitude. I tell things how it is. I put myself in front of things. I started doing podcasts. I worked with a company called Rooster Teeth for a while, and I was one of their cast members on one of their shows. And so it was a lifestyle podcast. It's still out there if you want to listen to it. We did, I think, like I think I was on 8 seasons, so like hundreds of episodes.
Wow.
And so you know, I put my whole life out there, and what I learned from my friends and some of the mentors that I had in this, you know, production industry was that people don't want to see fake. They
Yeah.
don't want to see, oh, that you're this perfect. They want to see you at your lowest sometimes, and at your, because then, you know, they realize who you are, you
You
know.
give somebody to cheer for, right? I mean,
Right.
you need to give somebody something for them to hook onto so they can find little bits and
Yes.
pieces of themselves.
Yeah, I definitely feel like for me, like it was something that I grew more used to, and you do get used to it. You do. I mean, it's still odd to me when people when I walk into places, and just because of working in that industry, I walk into places and people know who I am automatically. They'll know who I am and they'll know my story and they'll know things. And social media is the same way. People, you know, but I just, you know, I always, it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I put myself out there for a reason, but I definitely think that it's helped me grow my industry, grow my work in this industry because of the fact that I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to talk to clients. I'm not afraid to talk to them on camera. I'm not afraid to give someone a demonstration. You know, I always have my boss running in there and videoing things when I'm doing stuff, because I also, and you, a lot of times you'll hear me talking through what I'm doing, you know, like, oh, this is why this is, you know, I'm doing this or whatever. And you have to do that nowadays because people, number one, photos are great, but
Mhm.
they don't get a lot of interaction. You know, video is going to be where you're going to get your interaction.
Boom. Yeah,
So that's
you've been hearing it from Wick for freaking months now. Now hear it from Texas. Tell them.
Yeah, I do not do, if you'll look again at my photos, I do a lot of photos in my story, but I do a lot more video on my posts, and I do a lot of videos in my stories too, but I don't do a lot of photos anymore because people like it, but they don't get the interaction. They want to see it. It also sometimes doesn't sell what you're doing. And like I said, that goes back to all the filters and stuff. If you filter the hell out of your work, and then that person, you can, I mean, we can all see. We're not
All
dumb. We can,
fuzzy. It's all
yes, we
perfect.
can see that you have filtered
Oh,
that face to the gods, and now
oh
they
my
look
God.
perfect. And that's not how they look. And and so I think that, going back to video and showcasing really what the real deal is, that's where you're going to start getting people's interest because they want to see it. It's kind of like the Dr. Pimple Popper. Let's talk about her. She has how many followers? And I mean, she got a show from popping pimples, for Christ's sake. But let me tell you, people want to see the real thing. That's real. It's not pretty. It's gross. It's really gross, but it's like a train wreck. It's a train wreck. You can't stop watching it, you know? But, but again, people are drawn to that realness because guess what? There's someone out there that has a pimple like that on their face or some sort of situation going on like that. So again, you always think about things, it's like you've got to be very careful on how you approach your advertising and what you're doing for yourself, because you can really pigeonhole yourself into an area where people only think, oh well, they only work on 20-year-old gorgeous people. I am not that person. I'm going to go down the street where I saw someone that was showing someone digging in someone's face and getting rid of and doing
And
some
it's the worst picture
yeah,
in the world. It's half fuzzy,
yeah,
but it's real. As
yeah, and they're doing some extraction and they're like, that's what I need that
need
extraction.
that shit out of me.
I need that out of my skin, and so that's, I think, the real thing about it. So I think that's one of my biggest take backs from all of that is just
So
to be
here,
real.
how? Okay, people are not doing it. Texas, listen to me. I live in this world, and I just go through pages all the time,
Yeah,
and they're not doing it. They're not doing it. I think one of the main reasons they're not doing it is they're self-conscious themselves.
yeah, absolutely.
Like I don't like, I'm looking at myself right now on the screen. I don't like the way I look. I'm hearing myself. I hate the way I freaking sound.
Oh,
Texas.
I think you have a radio voice, and I think it's lovely. And I'm going to be honest, I've worked in radio, so I know. I did work in radio for a small. I did a little. I did
I
do
feel
some.
good about myself right now.
I did some promos for a company for a long time. You sound great. I'm going to tell you. First off, you do. Secondly, something that I've wanted to do, and I just haven't because I've been so busy. I haven't, but I've wanted to do like not classes per se, but like one-on-ones with people to help them get elevated on
Yes.
talking in front of camera, because I know that it's not everybody. Not everybody is me. Like my boyfriend, not many people have seen him because he is not on social media. He doesn't like to be on social media. He shares memes, but he doesn't like me to take pictures. He doesn't like me to put it in videos. He's just not that person. That's not
Yeah.
his gig. And that's okay. That's okay. But if you're in an industry where his career doesn't involve anything like social media, he doesn't need to be on it to be
Yeah.
fine. He's fine. But if you are a owner of if you're an esthetician running a room, you're a PMU artist that's running a room, you're by yourself, you just open up a business, whatever. If you're doing all this stuff on yourself, you have to be able to talk in front of a camera. And
Have
I've wanted to do some things where and I may do this. Where I can teach people how to elevate themselves, because again, it is fear. It's fear of sounding stupid. It's fear of looking bad. And again, what I tell myself is that I don't care. So, I mean, obviously I care about my skin and what it look like, but I don't care if I'm feeling frumpy or if I'm feeling, I let all that stuff go, because you know what? It doesn't matter. All that stuff doesn't matter. What matters is what I'm telling you and what education I'm doing for for whatever it is I'm teaching that person. And so you've got to look at it in a totally different light. Again, we're not all perfect. I'm not a perfect person at all. I've got issues like everybody else does. And but the way I look at it is that I know I'm not alone. I know that I'm not the only person out there that has this. So why do I care? And I think when you start looking at it that way, and not everyone can, but it's all about coaching that person and how to learn how to do that stuff. Because again, you're selling yourself in this industry. I mean, you really, really are. I mean, people come to see me I had a lady the other day, and I'm not kind of trying to brag about this, but she said, "Oh my God, you're so famous. Everyone knows you here." And I laughed because she was an older lady, and I laughed 'cause I thought it was really cute. And I was like, I started blushing, and I was like, "Oh, you're sweet." And then I thought about it, and I was like, "Well, they really kind of do know a lot about me over here, because it's like they." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm in this mom's group, and everyone's talking about you in this mom's group." And I didn't even know that this group existed out in Buda, Texas, where I work.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, where I work is out in the country. I mean, I literally, it's like a small little spa, but I mean, I'm busy all the time. But it's because I've networked enough, and it's because I've put myself out there enough. My personality is out there. Am I for everybody? Absolutely not. There's going to be people out there that don't want me to work on them, and that's okay. I don't care. I don't think of it that way, but I do know that the people that come to me are excited to meet me. They're excited to understand what I'm going to do. It's kind of like every time I have someone come in, it's like we have a little, it's almost like it's not really work almost. And that's how I feel about my work. It's like
Yes.
I'm helping them, and they're excited. It's like they're excited to come in, they're excited to see me, they're excited about these little journeys we go on. Because I tell them we're on a journey together, whether it's, we're doing IPLs, or we're doing laser, we're doing whatever, we're doing all these things to your skin. We're on a journey together, and we're Team Texas until we get out of this journey. And I'm right there with you. And I think that that also seals the deal with a lot of people, is that they know that I'm with them through this. It's not, I don't treat my clients like, someone taught me this a long time ago. They said, treat your clients like they're your favorite relative.
Mm-hmm.
Every client. And that's how I treat every single one. I treat everyone like I've known them for years, like they're my best friend. I'm going to be there for them when they message me, when they answer, I answer them, when they ask questions, I have the answers for them. And that makes people feel safe. It makes them feel safe, and it makes them want to come back to you. And those are some things that, I think that when you're doing these videos, you got to understand what it is. Do one or two, and just get them, do them
Get
short.
it
Do them.
out. It's
Yeah.
gonna probably suck.
Yes.
It's like the first time we drove a car, the first time we had a beer or took a shot of tequila. It
Yeah.
probably wasn't the best thing ever, right? It's just more like that journey. But you keep doing it.
Yeah, what I tell people is be honest.
Yeah.
Be honest with so if you're out there and you're like, "Hey guys, this is my first video. I'm just doing this. I'm kind of new." I think people enjoy seeing that, because they're going to root you on. They're going to be like, "Oh my God, she's doing it. She's finally doing it. She's finally doing her first video of her chemical peels, or she's finally doing her first video of lip blushing, or brows, or he's doing, a lot of men estheticians. He's doing his first, Brazilian waxing. Woo, look at that. Whatever it is. If you're putting it out there, people want to know your personality. If you're nervous, it's okay. It's okay, because you know what? None of all my, like, I did a video the other day. I didn't even edit it. It was funny. I had my camera up. I was doing a promo. I was thanking someone for sending me some stuff to try. And my camera flipped down. My whole phone flipped down and fell. And so as I'm editing it, I didn't take that part out. I left it. I said, "Oops, technical error." And then
Yeah.
I flipped it back up, and I was like, "Oh, we're so professional." I'm gonna take it out, and people were actually laughing about it. They were like, "Oh my God,
The
that's so funny."
funniest things,
But
Tech.
it was an accident. And I mean, and you know what? Why take it out? It happened. Who cares? Guess what? I didn't stop. I just kept talking about as I was going. I just put it back up and was like, "Okay, we're going to finish talking about this product." And people loved it. And that's the thing. You don't have to put this perfect video out to get someone's attention. You have to put you out there to get their attention.
And that's so here. How much of the business, and when I mean business, I'm talking about money. I mean clients, paying money for the services, the products, etc. How much is it the business personality versus skill set?
I would say, I'm going to tell you this, I
And,
think
and,
it's,
and and I'm trusting you, Texas, because
yeah,
you've been in this industry for a long time.
I
So
think it's going to be a good 70 to 80%. I really do. Because people come back to you because they like you.
that's it.
They like you. They like your personality. You're funny. You're sassy. You treat them like their cousin that they love. That cousin they get to see at the family reunion, and they're like, "Oh, I miss her." They love that, or they love that, and I see a lot of people fail that are really good at what they do, but they have zero personality. And that sucks for them, because we're in an industry where you have to have a personality to gain more clients,
And one of the and Texas, I can't tell you how much it hurts my heart because I see these businesses struggle, right? And instead of trying to just get better at just, and again, it's not even sales, it's like just put yourself out there. Hey, this is what I do. You're documenting what you do, and hey, this is the tip I have for today. Instead of putting what they do instead is they go, you know what, I need a new skill. So instead of getting,
Mhm.
like you said, that 70 to 80% of putting it out there, let's just say they're just doing, brows or lashes. And now they're like, you know what, I need to learn how to do dermaplaning. So they'll spend more money that they
Mhm.
don't have to learn something else, which was never even the problem. The problem
Yeah.
was them just putting their stuff out there.
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%. I think that that is a big problem in the industry, and it is easy because we are in an industry where we can go take a certification on a weekend and get, certified in something, dermaplaning or chemical peels or advanced chemical peels or whatever it is you want to do. You can get in there and do those quick instant classes, a 3-day class and be done.
And people are quick to take your money.
They sure will. And let me tell you, I always tell people this. I'm certified in so many things, but let me tell you, I always wait until I am comfortable in what I'm already doing and I'm being busy in what I'm doing to then add on. I don't just take all these classes. I'm not going to go to like these, and I know this is going to probably bite me in the ass because I know a lot of people do these things, but like they'll do these conventions where they're going to get certified in 22 things in 2 days. Girl, please. I mean, that's crazy. You're not even getting, do you know what the hell you even what could you name all the 22 certifications when you get home? Probably not. I just tell people, slow down. You need to slow down and perfect what you're doing. Get good at what you're doing before you move forward and try to add on all these other things. Because now you're not good at one thing, you're mediocre at a lot of things, you know? And until you're ready. Now, like I said, and that may be someone's problem out there is that they're just trying to learn too many things too quickly and they're not getting really good at what they do already. You know what I mean? And again, people love coming back to, like, again, if you're good at what you do, they'll come to you. But if you're a personality and you're happy to see your clients, they'll come back even more.
And sorry, Tex,
No,
but
no, go ahead.
that's the thing. It's like, be good at something, but then show the freaking world you're
Mhm.
good at that something. Don't put a freaking picture, a stock image of hey, 20% on micro needling. Hey, I just got certified in lash lifts, 10% off. Be good at whatever it is. Like
Yeah,
I know gals that are making, 6 figures plus, and all they do is sugaring. They know one service,
yeah,
all they do, but they put it out there. Hey, everybody, this is sugaring. Hey, did you know that sugaring is an organic way to do this? It's an all natural way to do this. They're putting their stuff out there. And to me, that's what it's about. Like Texas, you don't have a problem putting it out there, obviously not. But how can we convince these other amazing, bold beauty business bosses out there that you need to just put your face, you need to get your camera, you're gonna stutter your way through it, stutter away, girl, look
yeah.
beautiful, stutter. Let's go.
I think honestly, like I said, it's something that I've thought about doing is doing some classes for people just because I think some people need to have that coaching. I think it's finding someone that can coach you on how to do the proper things. Doesn't mean you just spend $10,000 on a videographer. You don't. I mean, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is a damn good phone. It can take movie style videos. You don't need to go and buy. I think a lot of people think in their mind, oh, I've got to buy this, I got to buy this, $2,000 camera. Now I got to buy this, editing system.
You
I
need
got
the
to
best
buy
microphone, you need
best microphone.
that,
I
you need
mean,
you don't forget the lighting, Texas, don't forget the light.
let me get $3,000 worth of lighting. So then they get overwhelmed in their head because then they're like, I'm only making 600 a week. And now I've got to spend all this money. Well, how am I going to pay for all this stuff? You don't need it. You don't need it to put good content out. You have a phone and you can get a cheap little $20 microphone. I think I have one floating around here somewhere from Amazon. Clip it to your phone, and that's all you need. I mean, literally, and maybe a ring light. If you have good lighting in your spa, you may not even need that. But it's all about the little things. I think a lot of people get really in their head they need to buy all these expensive stuff to get started, and you really don't. You just have to do it. You have to do it, and of course, once you get where you're going, yes, then maybe you can afford to have a videographer come in and do things. But people that start off, no one in this industry that is big has started off with everything they needed. that just doesn't, it's just, I mean, unless they're rich, and I'm not a rich person. I mean, I'm not making, $50 million a year. I mean, I can't just have
Yeah.
everyone on retain. I don't yet, right? But I mean, when I started out, I did things on my phone, and it just, it was what it was. I got a little 200, I think it was a $2.99 video app that, I wouldn't even get the free one or the expensive one. I got the $2.99 one, and I use that to do all my editing, and it was fine. And I'm not an editor. I don't know how to do all that stuff. I'm horrible with computers, and I learned to do it. So if I can do it, anyone can do it, because I promise you, I always tell my boss, I'm good at all the pretty things. I do all the pretty stuff behind the doors. You get me at the front desk, and it's like, I'm like, I don't know. It's control all delete, everything gets, blocked. I don't know what I'm doing. And that's okay, because I'm not good at that stuff. But if I can do it, you can do it. I promise you.
Absolutely. So Texas, looking at into your business, your success, your handsome face is plastered on posters, international judges of this and that. So how did you get there? What are some secrets to your success in terms of building your brand, building your business? What are some of the things that you've done that you think would really help out some of these other businesses out?
Again, like I said, I didn't have a normal story. Everything I kind of got, everything just kind of fell in place in my life. I never went looking for anything. I've actually really never looked for a job. It's always just kind of people have found me, which is very interesting. I mean, I've not looked for any in my 6 or 7 years now, going on 7 years of working in as the aesthetic world. I've never asked for a job. I've never looked for a job. I've always been, kind of found by somebody and they wanted me to work for them. And then sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. Um, I think that how I roll is that I'm just real. I'm real as it gets. I don't have a lot of fluff in my world. I don't try to sugarcoat things. I don't perceive myself bigger than anyone. I don't think that I'm, I know that a lot of people look up to me, it humbles me to say that, because I know that I've taught many students and they still look up to me and I'm their mentor or what have you. But I don't put myself in a situation where I don't feel like I'm better than anyone else, if that makes sense. So I think what's been my biggest success and how I put myself out there is because I have been so real, and not being afraid to speak my mind. Number one, I've always speak my mind about things. Also educating people
Right.
is one of the biggest things out there, is that people know that they can reach out to me for education and things, and I'm not stingy with that information. I always tell people I hate when people are like, you see someone do something online and you're like, oh, that's a beautiful thing, what products did you use? Nothing. Crickets,
Crickets.
crickets. You hear crickets. And you're like, and it's funny because one of my clients, one of my makeup clients, I've done her wedding, and I did some things, makeup stuff. And well, I remember this is a while back. Someone asked, well, Texas, why are you giving away all your secrets? It was on social. They put it on Facebook or whatever. I didn't even answer it. But
No.
one of my clients, I did her wedding. She goes, I'm going to tell you, as one of Texas's clients, she was like, I have bought everything that he's used on my face, and I can't recreate it. And that's what I always tell people, they're not me. I'm not you. You're not me. There's plenty of people out there to work on. And that's how I've always worked. And I think that, I've always put myself out there for it. I will say this. I did get a lot of recognition from my makeup career. I still do. And so I think that also helped me a lot. So I will be honest about that. I think that's helped me a lot in the industry because people trust me with their face. I'm already doing their makeup already. I've done that for so many years. I have clients that have had for over 10, 15 years, doing their makeup for stuff. And, I do work on some celebrities. So that's also something that kind of has put me out there. I've worked for big companies. Um, so, I mean, again, my story isn't normal. I know a lot of people don't just jump into film and television and jump and start working with these people. So, but I will say this, I always had a dream. I always have my book of stuff. I'll pull this one out. This is my 2020 book, which was a little light this last year because there wasn't much going on, but I always have a book that I put everything in. And this is this is before COVID. You can see all the stuff is written in there.
Yep.
I mean, everything that I do, I monitor everything and I write down everything that I do, and I always put in the things that I want to do out there in the world. What's next in my creativeness? What am I doing? Am I going to take another class for this? I always have goals, and I'm always trying to make those goals happen. And you know, I think that's what a part of a person being successful is having drive. You have to, you can't sit back and expect it to come to you. You have to even if you put it on paper and say on June 12th, I'm going to have this done, whatever it is you need to be done, whether it's marketing, whether it's, whatever. I'm going to film my first video. I'm going to film my first chemical peel, my first whatever. Put it on paper and hold yourself accountable for it, because accountability is so huge when you're working for yourself. And a lot of us are, I've owned my makeup business now for 20 years and I've done fantastic with it, and again, coming from a person that didn't really know anything about all that stuff, I mean, I learned a lot of it on my own, and you can too. Anyone can do anything they want to if they set their mind to it and they actually hold themselves accountable to do what they do. So I think that's how I've been successful in my career. And another thing is that, I've also not been afraid to reach out to people. I've not been afraid to ask for help. I haven't been afraid to reach out to people and talk to them. That's something that, I think a lot of people struggle with, is that they're in this industry. Maybe they've taken all these courses to do things, but they're not good at it. Maybe they're not great. Maybe they don't feel confident doing stuff. If you're not confident doing something, then take another class, reach out to a mentor, reach out to someone. And I have, and that's how I've built that confidence in my level. And, it's something that I think that a lot of people just don't want to do because they don't want to bother the person, or they're nervous, or they're afraid that they're going to look bad because, oh, well, I already am certified in this. Why am I taking another class? I take classes all the time. I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. We have to take classes. It's CE, it's continual education. You have to do that. You can't just take one class in 1999 and expect that you're going to be good. You got to keep up.
How many times have you seen a movie and you seen the movie again and you're like, oh my God, I missed that part and that part.
Yeah,
and that part.
yeah.
And one disclaimer I'm going to put in there, Texas, is when people reach out to a mentor or they're asking for advice, please listen, because I cannot tell you, this is my big pet peeve. And like I am literally talking to less and less people because of this one thing. Somebody will reach out to me and they'll say, hey, wait, can you help me with my business? Hey, I'm trying to do this with my marketing. And I'll go, you know what? No worries. I'll talk to them. And they want to tell me everything that they know. And this is what I've done. And this is why I think I should do it this way. I'm like, well, you know everything. Why in God's
Why did you reach out?
me?
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's, it also, there's a word for that. It's called humility. Being a little bit, you got to, I always tell people, you have to learn to walk before you can run. It's something you got to get that out of your head. You have to get it out of your head. All the things that when you're reaching out to someone, and I've had this happen to me too. It's because I am a mentor for some people. And I do put a lot of frequently asked questions videos out there. I do a lot of tips and tricks every week. I put videos out trying to show people how to do things. If I'm showing you something and I'm a busy person, and if I'm trying to reach out to you, respect that. And I've had some people not respect my time with that. And it pisses me off, because then I'm like, you're not listening to me anyway. So why the hell am I doing it? And so yes, I get what you're saying. I think that what you need to do is when you're reaching out to someone, you need to go to them as the student.
Yeah.
Get all that out of your mind that you're an educator. Because when I go in, I'm not going to disrespect. I'm taking 2-3 more classes this year now that things are a little bit more settled with COVID, and I'm going to take some classes. I never go in like I am Texas Dela Rosa. I know everything. I'm an international
I
judge.
disagree with that point right there. My experience is like, oh, is that right?
No, I never do that. I never go in like that with that attitude, because it's just not an attitude that anyone wants to hear. Nobody wants to see that. I go in with respect for that person's time. I go in with respect for their knowledge. I go in and I want to learn. I want to learn what it is they're doing and why they're doing things. And that's again why I think that if you're going to reach out to a mentor, you really should go in with that mentality, because you're learning something new. Doesn't matter all the things you know. Doesn't matter how many classes you took before. That person may be teaching you something so different, or give you that aha moment where you're like, oh shit, now that makes sense. This person now has taught me something that I now can put to my career, and it's going to fly off, because now I know what I'm doing. Now everything happened. Sometimes it takes just that one person to teach you something the right way, or not even the right way, but a different way. Maybe you've taught one thing and then you didn't do well. And then this other person comes in and says, why are we doing all this? Let's do this. It's happened to me many times. I've taken courses that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I learned from my students when they come into my facility. I've learned about products from my students, and I've learned about techniques that they were taught in other places. We're never going to learn everything. We're never going to be perfect. We're never going to be the almighty, all, I know it all, the person, what is it from Wizard of Oz, the guy behind the, the curtain. We're never going to be that person, and anyone who claims that they are is bullshitting you, because they don't. We can learn something every single
That's a lot of
day.
ego.
A lot of ego. There is a lot of ego.
Oh, that's a lot of ego.
Yeah, there's a lot of ego out there, and I do know a lot of people that are like that. I do know people that don't want to, they get stuck in their own methods and their methodology, and it's because that's what they learned, and that's all they want to know. But our industry is ever growing. It's ever changing. There's always new products. There's always new educators. There's always new methods that we're going to get. You have to be able to adapt, and you have to be able to move with go with the river. Not, why are we going against the current? Go with it, learn and go with it. That's how I always feel about things. So
Absolutely. So let me ask you this, because I know your story is not typical. So a lot of things,
yeah.
Worked out with you in different ways. But if you could go back in time, if you could go back in time and meet yourself before this journey even began, what's some piece of advice you would give yourself to maybe help you get someplace faster, or get things going faster? And a lot of times it could be, skill based. It could be just a mental attitude thought. What would you tell yourself to maybe go, if I knew then what I knew now, I might be a little bit farther in the game.
One that just comes to mind is to find the proper educator, find the proper school for you, because I've taken so many courses that were bullshit. and just going to put it out there, and I talk about education a lot because I think it's so imperative. I would have done more research. I think that I was also learning things in a time where there wasn't as much information out there in the world. So maybe that, because I am 40, so I don't think that there was a lot of information out there. You just couldn't Google stuff like you can now and find everything out there. But I would say one was find an educator that fits you. Don't just go to the school because it's cheaper, or go to the school that's too expensive, because a lot of people are charging way too much for what you're learning. And then you come out of that and you're like, damn, I spent $5,000 on that class, and I should have taken this one that's over 2,500 over here. And this person came out with a book this big, and they know everything now. So it's finding the right educator. I think that's one of the bigger things. Is one thing that I did do that I didn't mention before is that I've always been a bartender as well. I put myself through school, through most of my education, through bartending. That also did put my name out there with a lot of people, because people that come into the bar would get to know me. I always have business cards on me. Always. I know that people don't do that and they don't want to carry the cards with them. Do it, because I promise you, it gets you people. And that person may not call you for a year. I've had someone wait a year literally and then be like, oh my God, I'm now finally coming in after you gave me your card. And I'm like, well, whatever, it's fine. I think always having a card on you and something, and not being afraid to bartend, like something like I bartended to get myself through. Don't be afraid, if you're slow right now, to maybe take a part-time job. I know times are tough right now for a lot of people. So maybe you don't want to do that because your pride is I'm going to hold on to this pride and I'm going to make this work. Maybe you need to get some income coming in a little bit faster. Maybe don't take all those other courses. Maybe just find something else. Don't be afraid to do something like bartending or waiting tables to get yourself through. If that's something that you're interested in doing, that's how I put myself through a lot of the stuff. I just quit bartending again last year. I went in, I left for 5 years, went back in for like a year, and then COVID happened. And I don't think I'm going to go back in now, because I don't feel like I need to at this point. I'm in my career. It's not, I don't feel, I work in too close proximity to people's faces. So I don't want to put myself out there with the COVID situation going on. But don't be afraid to do something like that. Don't be afraid to look outside the box, is what I'm trying to say. If you're struggling, then you can find something else to do in the meantime until you can start building up that. And that's just kind of how I feel about sometimes when people they're just sitting there. Like I know a friend of mine who was an esthetician, and she just opened up a place on her own, and she's struggling hardcore, but she wants to make it work. And I'm nervous for her because I don't see her doing social media. I don't see her doing videos. I don't see her really doing stuff. I see a lot of stock photos, a lot of stock stuff out there. And I don't see her bringing any money in, and I'm afraid she's going to lose her business because she's, not really putting herself out there. So.
And you know what? Those are indicators, right? And I'm not saying it can't be done. I know some people that are doing well, and they're not really on social media, but they're doing something, or it's just blind luck, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, however you want to look at it. But that's not a way to run a business, because the odds are completely against you. Remember, in this industry, the average in the esthetician industry, the average esthetician is making 34,000 a year,
Which
right?
is crazy.
So
Crazy.
but see, again, Texas, if we look at what is the average esthetician doing during for marketing, rarely posting, mostly stock images, mostly features. Hey, come in for a micro needling. Hey, come in for a peel, come in for that. Not talking about the benefits, like you discussed, not educating, right? Not doing video. Not networking with other people out there, right? A lot of people, because I don't blame it on the schools, but I blame it on the schools, because the schools teach everything in terms of being an esthetician, or whatever thing people are into, but they don't teach them anything about how to run a business.
Yeah.
Right?
Business is very, it's hard. It's hard to know all the ins and outs. Running a business, it costs a lot of money. You got to be smart with where you're going in. Don't get in and over your head. That's some advice I'd give to people is don't get in over your head. Don't get a building that's huge if it's just you and one other person, because you
A
have
lot of
all,
ego, lot of like, I want my building to look this
yes.
way. It's like,
Yeah. I tell people it's like you want to think small, and as far as like when you're starting off with like your capital, when you're starting a business, because again, you grow businesses. You don't just jump in unless you have an investor or unless you have some empty, deep pockets. You just don't need all that to start off with, and so I think it's really important, and it's important for people to understand that, yeah, all this stuff may look cool and great and grand on social media, but when your place is empty, it's empty. That's it. And and
that overhead doesn't stop.
you're paying for all of that overhead, and you're paying for your other, your employees or what have you. Or if it's just you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs when you could have maybe found a place that was, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 less a month, whatever, and then moved up. It's okay to start off small. And I think a lot of people want to jump into these big, places and do things like that. And it's just, I don't think it's smart. I mean, I think a lot of people don't understand how money works though. And I think that's something that people do need to take the time to educate themselves in, and how to manage your money and finances. I did actually work in finance. Again, the guy with many hats. I worked in finance for about 2 years. So I'm really good with money. I'm very good with my money. I know how to work with money. I know how to actually put things back. And when I want something, I get it. But that doesn't mean that I am crazy with my money either. I'm very selective on what I do. And I think that a lot of people, again, going back to, do I need to buy a new MacBook and now an editor and all these things and lighting and blah, blah, then you're spending $10,000 on stuff that you did not need. You didn't need that. You could have done all this with your phone and, again, a microphone for 20 bucks. So I think it's being smart. I think that, people want to show off all this stuff on social media, because social media, again, we need it, but it also can be a crutch for some people because they're trying to show off a little bit. And, it's great to have a nice place, but again, weigh your options. What do you need? You need people in the building.
And you know what? That's the thing. Like people will show off. Oh, look at my building. Look at this. Look at that. But it's hard to show off the depression and
Yeah.
the struggle, and sitting there and the bills are coming in and you're like, how am I
Yeah.
going to pay for this? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
because that's the reality of a business. A business isn't all glamour and glitz, right? It's
No.
you're the plumber. You're the finance, you're shipping and handling, you're customer service, you're your front desk, right? You're the receptionist. And these are the roles that we play. And none of that is glamorous. Like I look at business and I'm like, oh my God, why in God's green earth do I do this thing? Right.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't see any other thing that I want to do, meaning I'm going to struggle either way. But if I'm going to struggle, it's like, can we struggle and make it worth it?
Yeah. I think that's it's exactly what you do. Sometimes you do have to struggle a little bit. Like look at Amazon. Amazon started in a garage. Where are we now, Amazon? Think about that. So I mean, billions of dollars later. I just think that, again, people need to, if you're ever unsure about any of this stuff, stop. Get your little book out. Write it down. Or if you have a calendar and a computer, make an appointment and talk to someone, a financial advisor, talk to someone who has started a business already, maybe reach out to a neighboring business. A lot of people, again, may not want to give you their information because they don't want to give you the secrets. Reach out to me. I don't care. I'll tell you everything because I am an open book, and I've never cared about giving again my information out and what I've done to do where I'm going. Because again, like I said, I bartended to put myself through school. I didn't just pop up out of nowhere. I couldn't afford. I mean, when I started makeup, I couldn't afford Mac brushes. I was buying brushes from Walgreens, and I was using, nothing against CoverGirl and all the things that are, but I was buying stuff from there to do makeup. I didn't have NARS and MAC and Makeup Forever and Stila and Givenchy and doing all the things all the stuff that I use now, but I had to start somewhere. And so it's all about humility too, and learning that you start small and then you grow things. I only bought what I needed when I first started my makeup business, and then it grew into this thing that was, now I'm, I was the face of many magazines. I've been, I've worked with, a lot of magazines for many years. I've worked with agencies in New York and in LA. I work with a lot of celebrities.
Preach on, Texas.
Yeah. So, I mean, I started small, people, again, my career wasn't popping when I was 20. It wasn't. When I hit 25, 26, 27, 6, 7 years later down the line, yes, then I was getting called in to work with actors and work on film sets and work with, people, but it's because I put myself out there. I was never afraid to put myself out there. One thing I'll always tell people too is you have so many people that open up businesses, and this drives me insane, and they don't go to the neighboring business and introduce themselves. They don't go next door and talk to that chiropractor's office or that Subway. Doesn't matter, Subway, but what is it? Whatever, Taco Shack or whatever. They don't go in there. They're afraid to do that kind of stuff because they don't. I don't understand where that fear comes from. Because I always want people to know who I am. So everyone knows when I go to a building, I like to know my neighboring businesses and what's going on with them. I'll go in, give them a card and say, hey, who's the manager here? I'd love to give you a free facial or free whatever, because that's how you get people to come back. You get them, oh, well, that's awesome. Or, hey, I'm going to give all your staff 50% off on your first, whatever it is you're doing. You have to hit the streets a lot of times. I think a lot of people now, and especially because I think I come from a different age, because I am 40, I wasn't afraid to go out and do that stuff. I didn't have social media when I was.
We had, homie. We had.
I did not have social media. I didn't have Facebook. I didn't have Instagram. I didn't have TikTok, that I still don't even know how the hell to work. But I didn't have all that stuff. So I think a lot of people just sit at home and they're like this.
And they're like,
where are the people?
I sent a DM. I sent them a DM. I put it on the Facebook.
I posted 2 hours ago. No, sometimes you have to work a little bit harder than that, which means, yes, everyone asks, how do I print out business cards? Go to moo.com, go to Vistaprint. It's not that hard. If I can do it, you can do it. It's really easy to get some just generic cards and just walk around and talk to people. Go to neighboring businesses. Go to different, like if you're like, for instance, I have connections with spas and some nail places and what have you. And I'll be like, hey, and I don't solicit their customers. I don't want to solicit anyone really, but I do walk in and I say, hey, do you mind if I give your employees all of these cards? I don't want to give them to your clients. I'm not going to try to bother nobody, but I just want you guys to know that I'm across the street and I do this business. And it happens. It's just building relationships, and it's so many people are afraid to do it. And sometimes you have to hit the streets. That's what I had to do when I started my makeup business. I did a lot of free work, sucked, because it was product, and I'm not wasting time, but I was, time was being, I didn't get paid for it, but it all worked out because now, again, I work with agencies. I work with, so many people. I'm known in the industry, so people know who I am. And that's how I worked. And that's how I built myself into the person that I am today, on all records, on all ways of how I did things,
So is this a relationship business, Texas? Is this a relationship business?
1000%.
That's a lot of percent.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you, my people, a lot of people that I work on don't see me for 3 to 5 years after they're done, because I do their permanent makeup and I don't see them again for years. Yep. So a lot of my clients come in for laser, and I do a lot of, treatments, things like that. They'll come in every month, but a lot of my clients, the majority of them are permanent makeup, and I don't see them, but they send me all their people. They love they have an aunt, they have they have an uncle that needs this, they have this or that, whatever. And it's building those relationships. If I didn't have that relationship with that client when they left the building, I wouldn't get their aunt, I wouldn't get their uncle, I wouldn't get their cousin, I wouldn't get their mom or whoever it is. And it's about building those relationships. And again, you have to do the work. You can't just sit back and expect it to come to you.
So here, does your relationship end when they leave your business? So they came in, they got their service done. do you do any terms of follow-up? Or what?
Absolutely not. It does not end like that. That is the worst experience ever. If you just
Oh,
give someone something and then they leave. No, I
like, thank
contact,
you for
yeah.
your money.
Yeah,
And
thank you for that $1,000. Bye. No, absolutely not. I message them on Facebook. I message them on Instagram. I call them a couple of days after their brows are done, and I'll say, "Hey, how are you doing, girl? How's everything going? Hey, how are those lips? Are they still swollen? What's going on?" I always reach out to my people because, again, no, the relationship does not end there. Because, again, it's all about building that relationship, making them feel safe, making them feel that they are seen, that I see them. I know who they are. I know what's going on, and that they're not just a cattle call situation. You're not number 50 in the you're not number 50 in the till on my register. No, I want to know who you are. I want to know what's going on. I learned so much about my clients because, again, I do sit with a lot of my clients for hours. So I'll find out they have kids. I'll be like, "How your kids doing? How's the husband? Are you single still? What's going on?" I again, you have to learn how to talk to your clients and treat them again like that favorite family member, because then they're excited to see you again. They're excited to talk to you. I have so many clients that come back to me and they're like, "Oh my God, you remembered all that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did." Like, "Yeah, I remember you have 2 kids. That's kind of important. I remember, but so many people don't ask all these questions. They don't get in their client's head. And that's when I said that earlier, getting in your client's head, that's what I mean. I want to know what's going on with this person. That's also a really good way to vet out any bad clients because you can find out if someone's not really going to be good for you as a fit. Because I've had to fire some clients myself and had to not work on people. That happens sometimes. But again, I like to get in their head and find out what's going on. And I think that that's what makes me maybe a little bit different than some people, is that I do actually care, and I really do. I had someone really nasty message me on Instagram, and I always tell social media, you got to be careful. You got to have a thick skin. I have a thick skin. I don't care. You're not going to piss me off. I may just block it and move on. That's what I do. But this lady was like, "Oh, you call everyone your favorite client." And I say, "You know what? I do. But it's because every single person that comes in, I treat them like they're my favorite client. And I'm excited to see them genuinely. It's a genuine thing. It's not some made up shit that I'm like, 'Oh, I love you, girl. How are you doing?' No, it's actually, I really do care about them. Why? Because I'm working on them. They have trusted me to work on them for whatever it is that I'm doing that day. And that is a trust you just can't throw away like that. That's how I look for people to work on me, to do stuff, is I look at people as, do we mesh well? Do I like that person's style? Do I like that person's attitude? Do I like that person's, you know, aura or presence or whatever it is? You can get that, we all have it. We all know we get that bad feeling about somebody. And or that good feeling, like you're happy to be around that person. That's how I look for people to do things with me. And that's how I've stayed with so many people. Like my hairstylist, I've had for 14 years. And Danny's my guy, and I'm not going to go anywhere else. I have cheated sometimes with Vicky because she's good too. But I do love both of them, when Danny was too busy. But I mean, but the thing is that, again, it's relationships. It's about relationships, and then also getting to know that person. You need to build relationships again with a lot of my clients. Like I said, I want to know what they're doing for their job. Are they owning a nail salon? And I always say, "Hey, when you come back, bring me some of your cards. I'd love to have some of your literature." They're always like, "Oh, thanks." I think that a lot of people don't think like that anymore. And they're just like, they just do the work and then they leave. I'm like, "Oh, so you own an ice cream shop. That's awesome. I love ice cream. Bring me some cards." I mean, I don't live out here, so I'll find out, where you're at. I'm always trying to go a step further and find out more about my client so that I can build that relationship. Because when they leave, they are hooked. They're like, "I love Texas. I like him." Because he does care. He's not just bullshitting. And you can tell, people can tell. I
Absolutely.
can tell. I can tell when someone's just feeding me what I want to hear. I can tell immediately. So again, walk the walk is what I say.
You know what? Walk the walk, be real. It's that golden rule: do unto others. Like here and Texas, I think something that you said is really key, and hopefully some of the listeners will pick on it. When we go out and buy or go to a business for products, services, etc. I don't go to some random business and be like, "Oh my God, hey, they got 20% off for a bunch of stuff I never heard of." No, I go to people like, "You know what? I really like this." Like there's a one time I was hiring people for social media management, right? And I was down to two companies that they had really good reviews. And I go, "You know what? One of them, they were both similar website. One company, they had videos of them goofing around in between during the job. So they're playing, some soccer, they're throwing the football around, they're laughing around, playing video games. And I connected with that company. That
Yeah.
was the only differentiating factor. And I hired them. I was like, "You know what? I like that company because they seem like cool people.
Yep. That's 100%. I think people want to be around people that they want to be around. I mean, let's be real. I mean, I don't want to go to some stuffy, when I get stuff done, I don't want to go to some stuffy place or be, or like, for instance, like I had a bad experience with a tattoo artist who I reached out to, really great artist. And, they messaged me back and said that they don't do the work that I do and that they only do their own work and stuff. And so I was like, ew. I was like, all right, well, I'm sorry that my work that I wanted was shit, but but that I immediately then associated that whole shop with her, and now I've never been there. So that's how people think, and I'm a consumer just like you are. I want to go somewhere where someone's like, "Oh my gosh, I love that idea," or "I love this. Let's do this. Let's make this happen." Someone who's excited to work on me or work with me. And so I think that that's it's crazy how that can switch things around a little bit or change your mind.
Yeah, and to close this up, Texas, first of all, thank you so much, right? So for all the people listening to this, watching this, what are some words of encouragement you can give out there to kind of, get them going based on your experience, your knowledge?
Okay. One things that I didn't mention earlier, but like obviously during COVID, a lot of people have struggled and businesses have been shut down, they couldn't work, what have you. I always tell people some word of advice for you is if you're slow, you can be working on stuff. Okay. Doesn't matter what it is. Painting, rearranging your place, doing that social media video that you said you were going to do 10 months ago, putting it down to paper, getting your book down. Again, I'm old school. I write a book. I put everything down in there. So I know that I've got my stuff, my list of things that I want to do. Start a list of things you need to do and give yourself a realistic time. Don't make yourself get stressed out about this stuff. Give yourself a couple of months to do some things, but do it. Hold yourself accountable. I think another thing that, just again, be real, be yourself. We've all struggled. Everybody's struggled out there in the world. No one's had a perfect run at anything. You look at some of these billion-dollar companies right now that have closed down due to COVID. We've all kind of had a reset almost, as it were. Take it for what it is and be smart with it and then grow from it. Again, you don't have to go big to be a successful person. Again, I talk about this a lot of times. A lot of your real successful people are not huge into social media. They may not have 2 million followers. They may have 2,000, and that's okay. I think a lot of people struggle with the wrong things. So they think they're trying to run before they walk is what I'm trying to say. Find out what the base is of whatever you're doing in your business and work on that. So if it's waxing, if it's sugaring, if it's chemical peels, if it's extraction, whatever it is you're doing in the world, focus on those things, get really good at them, do the work, do the homework, go out and meet people. And that's the biggest thing is meet them, go out and meet them yourself. Don't just reach out and or put a post out and expect everyone to follow you and know who you are. That's not how it works. Algorithms are a thing. Using proper hashtags too. That's also huge. I've been found by my hashtag. I have a hashtag text to shares. It's because I share everything. and that actually is a lot of people have found me through that hashtag, which is wild. But that's a thing that, you can look up all my work if you just look at Texas shares. And just like I said, just be real. Don't try to be someone you're not. Don't mimic people that you see on the internet, because I hate seeing that. If I see a video and then I'll see someone else that's trying to do the exact same video and try to be that person to emulate something, and then you go in and you meet the person and they're totally different than how they post themselves on the internet, that's not selling something. It's a farce. It's a lie. And in this industry, again, we want to be really truthful with our clients. I think that's how I think everyone should be. So just do your own stuff. If you mess up, it's okay. Keep on going. So those are some of the things that I if I had to wrap up all this stuff is just, and don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up, because again, giving up, that's just, that's not going to happen. It's not going to make anything better. But yeah, don't give up, because I've never given up on anything that I've actually had a dream about and wanted. And I've actually achieved all of the dreams that I've wanted to do. And I still have more that are on the horizon, and I will make those things happen as well.
Absolutely. And I think just to add on to that is, don't give up, because there are people like Texas. There are people like myself out here that care, right? Like
Yeah.
that that want to see every single one of you, anybody watching this, I want to see you win, right? Nothing would make me happier. And Texas, chime in on this. It's like, I think people like you and I, nothing makes us happier when we see other people win. And if we're able to be like a small portion of that and able to kind of, whether we're guiding them or helping them, to me, that's why I do this, is because, and I tell people, I'm like, good, this was all you. I was a small portion of just helping you with this or that, but everything else was you.
Yeah, I agree. As a mentor and an educator, nothing brings me more pride than when I see one of my students that's blowing up, that has made it, that is, is killing it in the industry and is doing great. And I love to hear those stories and see on social media that person is doing better. So 100%. That's how I feel about it. So it brings me a lot of pride to know that I helped someone, or even if it's not a student, if someone just asked a question and sent me messages, which lots of people do on my social media, and I'll answer them, and I answer them all. And it's funny. They're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for your time." And I'm like, "No, this is what I do. It's what I do. It's what I do. I eat, sleep, and breathe this industry, and that's what I love. And I love to help people. So it makes me happy when I see that if I did something to help them. So if you're ever out there, to anyone listening, or watching this, if you're ever interested in my classes, again, I teach, I'm an educator. We have Beauty Cosmetic Institute. You can look that up. It's on the internet. We have Instagram. Message me on all those things. You can email me. I'm very easy to find on the internet. I think I'm the only Texas Dela Rosa, so you can look me up. I do have a website for my makeup. That's just my name, texasdelarosa.com. I'm happy to answer any questions or anything that you need out there. Anyone listening, I'm happy to help you with anything. So just putting that out there too.
And I'll make sure to tag all of that in this thing, right? So Texas, stay on board real quick. So everybody, again, thank you. First of all, Texas, thank you so much. Thank you so much for generously providing your time, your experience, because to me, that's what this education is about. It doesn't mean, the things we talk about, some may not apply to everybody. They're like, you know what,
Right.
I don't like that, but it just takes one idea. It just takes one nugget, one thing that Texas says. You don't have to apply it all. Texas dropping like nuggets of gold that would, you need a semi truck to move, or a big tractor, right? But start somewhere small. Be just small things, small little steps that'll make it. And Texas, thank you so much. So again, hey everybody, just want to thank you all for listening. Check it out. More to come later on. And remember, you can do it. And one of the things that people like Texas, people like myself believe is we can always and we will always go further together. Check it out.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Cool.